overview of today's activities.
Yeah, long time no see. Been a lot going on since we talked last, but today we're here for talk about signing day. You know, it's kind of funny. 128 programs, I guess now. I don't think there's going to be one guy that gets up this time of the day and says that they had a bad class. So, you know, there's a lot of work that's put into it. We have addressed our needs as a program. What we set out to do this year was to really add athleticism and depth. You've heard me say before that what we've learned in this league is it's more than just a talent league, it's a talent and depth league. Last year, the last couple classes in particular, last year, we were able to sign a class that we played, signed 22, and then how many of those guys? 14 freshmen saw the field for us last year. So the good thing about that is out of those 14 freshmen that saw the field last year, there'll be 14 sophomores this year. A lot of growing pains with those guys, but that's 1 year of experience. This group here that we've signed, I think, as most people set out to do, which we did, was address needs across the board. From a quarterback position, we did that. A couple running backs, which we needed. Even though really the only loss there is Trey Williams, who decided to turn pro, so we signed a couple running backs, two very, very good ones. I think the thing that gets overshadowed here, a couple things, are 4 outstanding offensive linemen that were highly recruited that really come in and add to a class last year that was excellent. A year ago's class, we were able to sign the 2 top-ranked junior college offensive tackles in the country and then redshirt those 2 guys. So to back it up with these 4 offensive linemen gives us a real solid group, along with one of the better offensive linemen in the state last year. And so, you know, you start looking at classes of guys as a coach. It's not just this class, but the guys that you were able to not only play, that most people saw that gained experience, but the guys that we were able to redshirt in that offensive line that are going to give us depth and quality depth and playing time, probably for some of them, maybe be able to hold a couple of these guys off because of the guys we signed a year ago. Obviously, receivers, we did well there. Defensively, everybody knows what we set out to do, and we answered a bunch of our needs there. I thought, you know, some of the guys that we're talking about here got overshadowed because they've been committed for a long time. The Justin Dunnings of the world, those types of guys who committed, who are highly recruited players. That Rodney Elam is another guy that could have gone anywhere he wanted to, but has been recruited for a long time, been committed for a long time, didn't get the drama, but are excellent players. So with that being said, I think that this class again is really a stabilizing class. Has got some excellent players in there. You know, we've signed as many as I don't know, 27 at one time, 29 one year. We've signed as low as the first year. We only signed 19. That's kind of the first year gimme, but 22. So this one's right in the middle of the road at 25. Which is, as your program starts to stabilize with numbers across the board, that's probably where you're going to be. And, you know, if we had gone ahead and signed some more guys, maybe from a rating standpoint it would have been higher, but we're really extremely pleased with the quality of this class. Questions?
So right here, Gabe.
Kevin, how important of a signee is Kyler Murray, A, because of how good he is, but B, because of your dire need at the quarterback position numbers-wise?
You just said it. He's good, and we need a quarterback. So that's exactly what it is. You know, we've obviously there was. You know, I talk about this all the time. Commitment's a two-way street, and you know, when we offered Kyler last spring, and he decided to commit. You know, in the summer of last year, then. You know, the quarterback situation was different because Kenny was still here, And so we would have had 3 quarterbacks on the roster, but as we went through the recruiting process, it became really, really clear that, that Kyler was with us during the season. There's a lot been said late in the recruiting process about what happened in unofficial visits. The truth is this, a lot of people will get in commitments' ear, they'll get in recruits' ears, and the depth chart becomes a recruiting tool. And you had a number of schools, 2 or 3 of them, not just one, that basically showed the depth chart and said, hey, you could come here and play right now, including some of them saying he's going to start, and when you got a young guy that's won 43 straight games, 3 straight championships, all he's done is played, that starts to sound pretty good. And our message to him was, hey, listen, the same reason that you committed here last summer, and the same things that are important to you are still the same. In fact, with the departure of Kenny, they're even better for you now. So it doesn't make any sense for you to change that. And he understood that. He understands competition. Everybody here understands what this program's built on. And so, that conversation was something that had to be had, which we had. And then after that, things got back to normal. And he's an Aggie for all the right reasons.
We'll go to the left, Cease.
Kevin, can you talk about the impact of your new assistants on the recruiting, particularly John Chavis?
Yeah, I think that it's obvious that John's done a great job since he's been here. Twitter has pretty much documented our travels all over the place for the last couple weeks. Some guys we got in on late, some guys we got in homes and had a chance. Up until today, where we really didn't have a chance with some guys, and then obviously we were able to solidify some things with some other players. So he's already had an impact on recruiting. I look for that to continue, and then the impact on what we do. We'll really get right into and let these guys. There's been a lot going on since I saw you guys last. So since the first of the year, in recruiting coaches, recruiting players. I'm gonna let these guys get a couple days off, get their families, in particular John and Dave and Coach Moorhead, get their families settled, and then next week, Monday, we'll start getting into schemes and football and getting back with our team and start preparing and getting ready for spring football, which ironically starts a month from.
Less than a month.
Less than a month, so March 2nd. So these guys have hit the ground running. They've all had an opportunity to get involved in the recruiting process at their position. Dave was able to go around and see all the linemen early to solidify those guys. That's a great class, and Coach Moorhead was able to get in a lot of people's homes, settle them down. Close out a wide receiver class that's excellent again. So all 3 of those guys have had an impact on recruiting already, and I look forward. I don't look for that to change. In fact, as they get more comfortable with their areas, I look forward to get even better with this spring as we start putting them in areas where they can be consistent.
Go down front here, Brent.
Could you speak to the addition of Dalen Mack and the that need on defense in your interior line?
Yeah, Dalen is a guy that again, similar to Kyler in the fact that he was an early commitment, and some things changed throughout the year, through the season. When I had to make some tough decisions, and then during that time, Dalen and the family just wanted to see what was going to happen defensively. I think the addition of John Chavis did nothing but help solidify his commitment. And when he came back on his official visit 2 weeks ago, when he left Sunday, it's probably out right now. He told me he was coming. So I kept my end of the bargain. You guys know by now I keep secrets pretty well, so that was all part of it, and I just had to make sure that we did that. And again, Monday night he called me and told me he was coming, so those are decisions that have to be made with the family. I think that again, for all the right reasons, the same reasons that he decided to come here early. In his situation, defensively, schematically, from a coach who has a proven track record of playing not good defense but great defense, and placing a lot of guys in the National Football League at a lot of different positions. He saw where the situation at Texas A&M got better for him personally, and again, he came here for all the right reasons.
Down front, Kate.
Hey, Kevin. What kind of conversations have you had with Kyler about baseball, both playing here and then playing professionally?
Yeah, we that was part of the conversation that Thursday night also. Obviously he's very, very talented, and I think he's the only player that's been an Under Armour All-American in both baseball and football. So he's going to have some draft opportunities. It's just a matter of how high and what that's going to be. So like most families, they'll probably set a number, and if they get to that number, then they're going to have to make some decisions. But all I've asked, we've had other players that have been involved in that. Kenny Hill was involved in that. Obviously, Cole Stewart was on the other side of that. Cole Stewart was the number 4 overall pick, and so that was worth about $4 million, I think, something like that. And so there's different scenarios, but that's a family decision. We did discuss. We've also talked about playing baseball in the spring here. We've also discussed summer league baseball, and different ways to keep things alive. And so, yeah, baseball has been part of the conversation. And all we've asked, and just like I've done before, is we've got pretty good intel here, and are pretty accurate, as some people have heard from the Cole Stewart conversation, that I told him where he was going to get drafted, and it was right. But we've got pretty good intel here on what's going on, and so do they. And so from a communication standpoint, that's what's going to happen, and we'll figure it out then.
And you talked about the conversation with him and having competition here, obviously with Kyle returning and having started the last half of the season. I know you don't guarantee anybody starting positions, but do you just say you will have the chance to earn the starting job? You'll have the chance to compete for it.
Well, it's pretty simple. We only got 2 quarterbacks, so he's going to get to play. You're not going to play one guy the whole time. So that I could promise him. And the other thing I can promise you is you've got a situation where, number one, this program's built on competition, and there's probably no greater example of that than last year. So it's not like we're making stuff up. We've never promised anybody here, not even Myles Garrett, that he was going to start, which was hard for me to bite my tongue and not say that. But that's just what we do, and I think our players understand that who are here, and the guys coming in here understand it. And so the whole conversation was just the same conversation that we had with Kyle Allen, that, hey, number one, if you win the starting job against Arizona State, then you're going to have to keep competing, because the other guy's not going to give in. And if you don't win the starting job against Arizona State, then you need to keep competing, because you always have that chance here, and you're more than just one play away in this program. And competition is a coach's best friend, and like I said, when I say for all the right reasons, that's what I'm getting at. That Kyler is a guy who, unlike a lot of conversations that were out there that no one commented on, he's not afraid of competition. You don't win 43 games in a row and be afraid of not playing, or somebody not being there, or win 3 state championships. So that was never a situation, you know. And so the conversations were all about, you know, competing, and the fact that, you know, you've got one step closer and one less guy to compete with now than you did when you committed here. And so that made sense to him, and it just makes sense to everybody.
Other questions? We're here to the left, Cease.
Now he signed Riley Garner, the off-the-field accident. Were you ever think about pulling his scholarship away, or can you talk a little bit about
Cease, you know our record here. You know, with a year ago, we had a young man who we signed, broke a vertebra in his neck, and what he missed most of his senior season. And we stayed committed. It goes back to what I said: commitment's a two-way street. And we talk to young people as juniors going into their senior year. You know, if you are committed to us and you're going to come to school and play, then we're going to stand behind that commitment, whether it's on the field injury. But if it's something that's egregious, that's against the law or anything like that, or a great issue, that's the only reason we're going to pull that. But we've had players that have gotten injured and have come to school here, some that can never play again. And so, you know, when that happened, I think we had a little bit more information because he was in town. Some of the same doctors that are here, Dr. Bramhall was able to get some information to make sure that everything was going to be okay. Coach Raphael, you know, is a good friend, and we're able to communicate with him and the family about whether he was going to play or not, and we didn't have anything to do with that. We just wanted to be kept abreast of that situation, and so, you know, he's all healed up, he's ready to roll, and you know, I think he's going to be a good fit for us. He's a little bit bigger than people think. He's a lot more athletic than people think, and he was right across the street with about almost a 4.0 GPA. So I said, you know, our decision was, hey, basically before the accident, we're driving around, flying all over the country looking for this guy, and he's 6'3", 225, and he runs 4'6". He's right across the street over here. Why don't we just sign him? So it all worked out.
Down front here, Brent.
Wanted to ask you about the guys behind Riley. You signed at least 5 defensive backs. Just your need there and those guys that you brought on board.
Yeah, you know, we finished the bowl game with 2 true freshmen playing safety after Howard Matthews was ejected from the game. I thought Armani Watts had a good freshman season. Donovan Wilson came on at the end. So, you know, those are 2 young guys that, as I said, the good news is they're going to be sophomores next year. But you look at this list, and you know, Justin Evans, who was a mid-year transfer, is number 1 or 2 junior college free safety in the country, can have an immediate impact. Justin Dunning is what you're looking for. You know, a 6'4", 205-pound guy who's young, really rangy. Showed a lot of range at the opening, and has got real skills that can do a lot of different things for us. But really, the big prototypical safety that people are looking for. Ronnie Elam, as I said earlier, doesn't get a lot of hype, but if you go back and look at his recruitment, I think it was us and really LSU head-to-head, and a guy who's got the ability to play both. You know, a 6'2" guy that's got length, that can play safety and has range and can play corner. And then Larry Pryor is another guy like Justin Dunning, who was extremely highly recruited, but made his commitment early, never wavered. You know, a lot of these guys that came down here at the end get a lot of attention, but I said before, we need to go back and look at some of these other guys that committed here and stuck to their word, did everything the right way, and then look at their recruitment, because there's a whole lot of people recruiting them too. And Larry Pryor and Justin Dunning and Ronnie Elam are 3 of those guys that could have gone just about anywhere they wanted, but because their recruitment was, sack the bats early, they don't get a lot of pub, but I think they will when they hit campus.
Go to the left, Mark, and then over to the right, Gabe.
Coach, you mentioned Riley Garner already, but I was wondering if you could give us a little bit of a look at the other linebackers that you signed at this class.
Well, we've already got Claude George is here, who was, I don't know, he was rated pretty high too, a guy that we went out and looked for as an immediate need. He's here working out, 235-pound guy, 6'2", long, rangy. We really caught a break. He's actually a guy that I met when we were at the University of Houston. Came over for a camp, and at the time he was like maybe 190 pounds, and tall, skinny guy. And we kept watching. I was like, we kept seeing this video, and I said, I've heard this name before. And they said, well, he's a linebacker. He's 6'2", 230 something. And I said, it can't be the same guy. And we got on the phone one night, and he said, hey, Coach, I'm glad to hear from you. Remember me when I came over to the camp? I was like, oh, yeah, right. Okay, so I knew him, and his mother actually lived in Fort Bend in Houston. And so it was one of those deals where all of a sudden things started clicking, and he was happy to be here. So, he's here in school already. And we look for, most of our junior college players have immediate impacts, except for the last 2 O-linemen we signed who we redshirted on purpose. But he's going to have an impact on us early. Richard Moore, who's another mid-year signee, just a tremendous football player. He's a guy who's here mid-year, which will help him because he's a 210-pound guy right now. He'll get this spring and through summer. Just a guy that made tackles all over the place, play after play after play after play, and just a high motor, high intensity guy. Landis Durham is another guy that's a little bit bigger guy, bigger body that we need at linebacker. These guys are coming in here 230 something, so they have the ability to get in the 240s and during their career here. And we talked about Riley, and those guys will have a impact right away. But obviously, the 2 guys who got in here at mid-year, and particularly Claude's gonna have an opportunity as an older guy, more mature guy, to see where he fits in during spring football.
Right here to the right, Gabe.
Could you take us through the need for 2 running backs, probably even before Trey Williams made his decision, certainly late, and then obviously Bussey was there right at the end for a flip. Could you take us through that? Yeah,
you look at Jay, he's a unbelievably explosive guy. He's a guy who's, I think he long jumped 24 feet last year at the state meet. I think he's a 47 and almost a 48-foot triple jumper, which I don't know if anybody in this room can do that, but I know I can't. I know he can't. He's got no chance for 48 triple jump. He could have a quadruple jump couldn't get to 48. No, he's just a tremendously explosive guy. A 10.5 trying to get into the 10.3s as a 100-meter guy. Really, really explosive, gifted guy and athlete, and he's all of about 5'11", and I think he averages about 3 dunks a game. So he likes to rebound. I give him a hard time at 5'11". He can't shoot at all, and he's the only 5'11" guy that I know that they put in the game to play defense and rebound. So he had no chance to play basketball. We eliminated that, but he is a heck of a track athlete and very, very explosive for us and as a football player. Kendall Bussey obviously is more of a prototypical type running back. You've heard all the comparisons to different guys. He's a shorter, stockier, strong guy. 5'9", 200, 205 when he was on his visit. Had a lot of choices. I think he committed to Nebraska first, and then he committed to Tennessee. So those guys they've had a few pretty good running backs at both those places. So, we jumped in there, and Coach Terry Joseph had a relationship, with the family and with the school, and we just kept it going, and he came out and he liked it. So, he's a guy that we're really fortunate to get here at the end. Understands the depth chart, understands how we'll use him, and those guys, particularly Bussy, physically, he's a pure running back. Jay Bradford is going to be a guy that we'll figure out how we're going to utilize him physically. He's not going to be as ready to go as Bussy for our everyday pounding type situation, but he's so gifted and explosive that we'll see where he fits.
Down front here, Kate.
Kind of a big picture two-parter, if I could. First, we could be back here in December. They're talking about having the early signing period as soon as this year. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think that's a good thing that would maybe help tone down the recruiting period a little bit? Or?
Yeah, I think eliminate some of the drama that we had this last month. So I'm all for it. My statement that we, as coaches, we get to meet, and I've been for an early signing period for a long time, for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you look statistically right now, there's a higher percentage of kids who have committed early than there ever has been, and the process has sped up. The information has sped up. The information that you guys have as juniors and seniors early is more than it's ever been. And so for us, we have that information. The evaluation process has really picked up. And so, you couple that with kids being on your campus in those unofficial visits. They're going around seeing people earlier and earlier and making decisions earlier and earlier. It just makes sense. You get to a point where after December, the whole month of January, you look on television today, there were a number of guys, probably more than ever, that are on signing day announcing, but 80% everybody knew what was happening. So you have a whole month of January where we're either flying around, babysitting, trying to keep guys off the guys who are committed, or you're flying around, trying to flip somebody from another guy. And it's really a waste of money. You're just sitting there going to see the guy because if you don't go see him, somebody else will. So, I'm not getting the attention that you need. So you got to fly here, you got to go there, you got to go here. And these guys have already made up their mind. So it's a cost-saving measure coupled with a common sense measure to me that that's what it is. And here's the other thing. The argument was, when should this happen? Well, I don't think it should be where basketball is, where guys assign and I worry about how much they pay attention to their senior year in high school. I think after high school season or in mid-December is a good time for that. And to me, it just makes sense. And the other thing is this, which was brought up. Well, what if they don't sign then at that time? You don't have to. And what that tells me too is you're not committed. So if you don't sign at that point, then you can go to the regular signing date. Then you're letting everybody know that you're not committed. And I think that needs to happen too.
And I wanted to ask, did you have a reaction to the news this week about Johnny Manziel seeking treatment? The reaction was, he's part of our family, and as a coach and as a family A&M, and we're going to support him like we supported him here. We support him and his family at this point. I'm not going to get into any conversations or anything that we've had, but I can say that that's a step that he's decided to take and his family's decided to take, and it's something that personally I support, and as a university we support.
Down front, Brent. Time for a couple more.
even with y'all in the SEC, have you found that some of the old Big 12 and maybe even some of the old Southwest Conference rivalries here in state live on through recruiting? And is that a little bit, is that kind of fun?
Yeah, I think it's good. I don't know that it's kind of interesting. There are, a few years ago I think there were 7 or 8 Division I playing schools in the state, and now we're up to 11, 12 in 4 or 5 different conferences. When you start talking about, it just used to be the Southwest Conference, and now you've got the Big 12, you've got the SEC, you've got the AAC, you've got Conference USA. There's all kinds of conferences in here, and so that thing has split. The thing that's interesting, though, I think that you've had some teams that have had on-field success, like TCU and Baylor, that have created some more buzz for their institutions. I think that's good. I think obviously us in Texas, from a recruiting standpoint, as much as it was a hassle for a lot of different people, that competition's good. When you have that many schools in one state recruiting against each other, it's great for fans. It's great for the universities. It's great for college football. And there are a lot of kids in this state that are tremendous student athletes. We've got a lot of great high school coaches. And what that does is create opportunities for a lot of guys in this state that don't have to leave to go play. So in a way, for us as coaches, it's a pain. But for the young guys and the high school football players and the coaches in this state, it couldn't be a greater time than to have the opportunity to go to a lot of different places and play at a high level. And so, you saw a lot of guys today that stayed in state and played. There's a few that left, but in general, I think the competition, whether, like you said, Brent, I don't know that it's so much Southwest Conference of people that are in there, because most of the coaches who are coaching at these places right now weren't around for the Southwest Conference. We're all just worried about our own place at this point, and our own fans, and because of that, the competition. We're driving by the same schools, and we're in the same schools, we're recruiting the same guys. So obviously, I can't speak for everybody else, but we start with a radius of about 300 miles that we're really intensely recruiting. And so within that radius, most of the schools that you're talking about are there. So there's a lot of competition, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
Go to the back left, Lee.
Hey, Coach, now that this class is official today, do you ever get a chance to kind of take a step back, take a deep breath, or when it comes to recruiting, do you feel like you're doing it all throughout the entire year?
We'll do it all throughout the entire year. We'll have we had our junior day the 25th of last month, the Sunday. So we had a number of juniors who were here, and some sophomores. And with any luck, we'll get our first commitment for 16 maybe tomorrow. So that tells you how much time I'm taking off.
We'll go to the back left, Kevin.
Coach, just on a personal note, do you like it? Do you enjoy doing the traveling and going out?
If I didn't like it, I wouldn't be here.
Anything else? All right. Thanks, Coach.
All right.
Thanks, Kevin.
Appreciate it, guys.